Okay, this is lesson 1.3 on transformations or transformational geometry. Before watching the recording, please make sure that you have a graph sheet of paper in front of you, a pencil, a straight edge or a ruler, and perhaps a different colored pen or pens as well. Remember that anything I'm writing down in the video, you should be doing the same thing. And at any point during the video, if you need to pause it to catch up in terms of writing, or you want to pause it because you want to figure out the question before I review it, or you need something replayed because you didn't quite understand it the first time, please feel free to do all of those things. Now, at this point, you probably want to pause it to jot down today's date, maybe different from what's in the video right now, your title, 1.3 transformations, and perhaps copy down everything that I have so far here. The first type of transformation that we'll do is a translation. Just as you remember from last year, hopefully, it's just movement left to right and up or down. Now, for the translation example, we'll just deal with working in the first quadrant, okay? So pause the recording now and catch up. I'm going to continue. So my first quadrant I have on the y-axis 0 to 5 and on the x-axis 0 to 9. We're going to deal with triangle ABC. Let's say that point A is at 8, 1, so plot this on your graph too. Let's say point B or vertex B is at 7, 2, and then C is at 9, 3. I'm going to connect these points with a ruler. Oops. Okay, now remember translation rules can be given to you in terms of directions, and also an arrow. Let's deal with directions for now. Suppose I asked you, and hopefully you'll remember this from last year, I want you to move it, and I'll write it down here, left 4 and up 2. Now, this is where I advise you, pause the recording now before I actually go over the answer and try to figure it out. Don't forget as well that you need to label your image properly. Let's see how much you remember from last year. So go ahead and pause the recording. Now, I'm going to do the image in a different color, and you can do the same on your page too. We'll translate A, 8, 1 to L4 up 2. We're going to go left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 2, 1, 2. A prime ends up here. New position is at 4, 3. Okay. B prime is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 2, 1, 2. We know that B prime has to end up here. New location is 3, 4. Okay. C prime, we're going to go left 4, 2, 3, 4, and up 2, 1, 2. C prime should be here. New location is 5, 5. So make sure that when you are connecting it, again, you use a straight edge and your image should end up here. Now, what we're going to throw in differently this year is a different way to describe the translation. You may have remembered from last year, and I'm going to jot this down over here, is that positive directions are always up. Sorry, it should be right and up. Negative directions, because remember we're dealing with directions and we're dealing with the 4 quadrants this year, are always left and down. Knowing that, we look at L4. Left is a negative direction, so we're going to represent L4 and call it -4. This is how we represent the direction in terms of an ordered pair. We look at up 2, and I note up above, that up is a positive direction. So I'm just going to leave that at 2. You don't have to write down positive 2. Negative 4, 2, we automatically assume that you're translating the image to the left by 4 and up by 2. Also remember that this corresponds to x, comma, y, and that when you're giving directions for translations or you're giving ordered pairs, the x value always comes before the y value. Okay, so the next type of transformation that we'll do will be reflections. So for reflections, what you need to draw on your page is you need to draw all 4 quadrants. Now, I'll do it here. Just for the sake of not being able to see my whole page, I'm going to have it pretty small. Okay, so actually what I should do is I should have reflections up here. So remember, when reflecting, we're getting a mirror image of your original. Okay, so again, make sure you label your y and your x-axis and your origin, and we'll just go up by ones. We're going to reflect 2 times here, and I'll explain how we're going to do that in a second. -6. Okay, let's go up here. I'm really limited on the y-axis, so okay, -1, oops, -1, -2, -3. Okay, so let's start off in quadrant 1 here. Let's continue with our triangles. So we're on to DEF. So D, okay, D we'll put at 4, 1. Okay. E we're going to put at 4, 3. Okay. F we're going to put at 3, 2. So connect the dots so you have your triangle there. Now, again, good time to pause the recording. What I want you to do with this triangle is I want you to reflect it over the y-axis. So reflect over the y-axis. So remember that your line of symmetry is going to be the y-axis. I'm not giving you a particular line of symmetry, just use that as your mirror line. Pause the recording now and go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'll go over the reflection of the y-axis of triangle DEF. So looking at point D, remember the trick with reflections is that it has to be the same distance from the line of symmetry on both sides. So if we look at D, we can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away from the line of symmetry, the y-axis. So it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces away on the other side. So we call that D prime, don't forget. So that's going to be at -4, 1. Do the same thing with the other points. So E prime ends up at -4, 3. Okay. Now we have F. It's 1, 2, 3 away. Therefore, it's 1, 2, 3 away. So F prime should end up at -3, 2 in quadrant 2. So we're going to connect the dots here. And now you have a mirror image. Okay, here's your other challenge. Now I want you to reflect, and you may have to extend your y-axis below 0 here. I'd like you to reflect the original triangle and now reflect it over the x-axis, so it ends up in quadrant 4. Again, pause the recording if you need to and try this yourself. So again, you're reflecting this this original over the x-axis. Remember that you want a mirror image of it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. Now, we know that D is at 4, 1. It has to be the same distance on the other side. So if we're using the x-axis as a mirror line, it has to be 1 away on the other side too. So that we know that D prime is going to end up at 4, -1. Okay. E is 1, 2, 3 away. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 away. So E prime. Now, we call it prime, not double prime, because we're reflecting on the original image. We're not reflecting the image. E prime is at 4, -3. And then we have F, which is 1, 2 away. So it's got to be 1, 2 away. So F prime ends up at 3, -2. Okay. And then we connect the dots again using a straight edge. And now we have an image of the original with a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, the last type of transformation that we'll do is a rotation. Now before you continue watching the recording, make sure that you grab a piece of parchment paper. Now unfortunately I can't do the actual rotation with you on the video, so I'm going to leave you to do that part on your own, and then I will give you the points that you need to check after you complete the rotation. For rotations, let's do all 4 quadrants again, but we'll probably just deal with quadrant 3. So again, XY coordinate grid. I'm just going to extend the page here. Okay, so I'm going up here, 1, 2, 3, and then down below, we'll go up to wherever we can, down the y-axis. I'll do -6. Okay, this time we'll do a quadrilateral. Point G will be at -6, -4. Okay, H will be at -5, -3. Again, all dealing in quadrant 4. Okay, I will be at -3, -4, -3, -4, and then finally J will be at -5, -5. Now hopefully I can fit this all on my page and then connect the dots here. So that is your original. So your instructions are to do the following, and this is where after I give you the information, you're going to have to pause the video and do the rotation yourself with the parchment paper. I want you to rotate the figure GHIJ 90 degrees counterclockwise. The center of rotation is on point G. Center of rotation is G, which is -6, -4. Go ahead and do that rotation now and pause the recording. Okay, so after doing the rotation, your figure should have ended up here in this spot. Just as a review, after 90 degrees counterclockwise, your center of rotation is G at -6, -4. H prime should have ended up at -7, -3. I actually had to extend my graph here at the top with my x-axis. I prime should have ended up at -6, -1. J prime is the same place as H as before because of the overlap. So that's -5, -3. Finally, G prime is in the same spot because that was the center of rotation. And that's it for transformations.